Today on Down with Dedee, my mom will be having a conversation with Erica Spiegelman.
Hi, Erica. Welcome to Down with Dee girl.
Oh, so happy to be here. And thank you for that reminder of just dancing a little bit. I love it. I love it. I
Thank
miss those
you.
moments every day sometimes. Yeah.
What's funny is like I said this before for those of you who follow me are like, oh God, here she goes. It's that same story again. I'm going to do that same story again. A professor did this on a Friday night class, started like 7. It was like 5 hours long. It was one of those where you're like, oh God, but
Yeah.
you'd be coming down the hallway and you'd hear music coming from the room. And as you walked in, you just started bebopping to it. And the song was relevant to this topic in which he was going to lecture on.
Oh, cool.
And as you walked in, you kind of saw each other. Some were really shy. They're like, oh, I don't want to move. I don't want to move. And others were like, I'd walk in going, hey, yeah, let's go. But
Yeah.
then he'd sit down and he's like, hey. And then he'd shut it off and he's like, hey, welcome. And all of a sudden I realized, wow, like he just opened up like all of this energy for me, put
Yeah.
me on a completely different energy level than when I
Sure.
walked in there, all like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Right.
Of course. Yeah.
And then I somehow
Yeah.
remembered that when I was getting ready for the podcast and thinking about it. And I said to DJ, my producer, I said, when I listen to this one song, something happens to me. And I'm wondering if it happens to my guests. And they all say the same thing.
Yeah. No, it does. It makes you just like lighten up and remember that life is about
Yeah.
fun and joy. And well, music just has that. I mean, just that effect, at least on my life. Like every time you know, in any moment, if I put on something that is happy and fun, it just lifts right away. So yeah,
Music is very triggering. It can trigger you in an amazing mood, a melancholy mood, or in a pissy mood, or, so because it's all frequency energies, right? So
yeah,
that's why
yeah,
I'm super kind of sensitive about the music that's around me because it can really like set me off on a trajectory that I'm like trying hard not to go
yeah,
down, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
listen, I want to talk about some exciting stuff that you are doing. I'm in recovery. I'm oh my God, multiple years under my belt and recovering out loud. That's how this podcast Down with Dee started. And I
Mm,
invite all sorts of guests to come on and talk about a lot of things. But you, my friend, have written lots of books.
yeah,
You have are connected to a rehab that's brand new and to me so exciting
thank you.
because not how it's the same as others, it's how it's different. It
Yeah,
excites me. Can you tell us about New Spirit Recovery Rehab,
yeah,
please?
thank
I'm so
you. Thank
excited.
you. Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. And yes, New Spirit Recovery is a new residential detox treatment center. We're a 6-bedroom house in Encino, California, right outside of LA proper. And yeah, we're just so excited. The foundation of it is really based on teaching people the tools, in educating them on mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual self-care, because there's so many people that, tend to, you know, somehow become abstinent in some way. They get sober, or they're not using, or they're trying to figure out a way and not to poison themselves or to have these dependent behaviors that cause negative consequences. And yet then in the same breath, they don't really learn how to change their narratives, how to change their thought habits, how to begin to sit with emotion and what to do when they're feeling uncomfortable, how to recognize cognitive distortions in terms of the mental self-care, spiritual self-care, create practices around gratitude and practices around being out in nature and things that light them up and bring them joy. And, physical, in terms of physical self-care too, it's much more than just what people would think about. Movement, yes, is important, and
Mm.
nourishment's important, but also the importance of sleep and the importance of how stress affects our bodies. So when I talk about physical self-care with my clients, it's always about how stress management and
Yeah.
communication too. Like if we don't communicate, we hold so much in our bodies, and if we're not sharing our truth or knowing how to be assertive. So I teach people about like the 3 ways in which we usually communicate. So there's just so much to self-care
Yeah.
than the typical. And so that's where I feel like we're so excited to bring this to our clients at New Spirit, to guide them and create individualized plans, because like, every
Yeah.
single human being is different. We have different families, we've come from different cultures, we speak different languages. I mean, so much. And in terms of our narratives, someone could be sitting next to you, their thoughts could be completely different, and you're in the same place, right? It's just the lens.
Right.
So that's kind of what makes us unique, I think. And we'll also offering, which we've already started. We already have clients, and we've been pretty full right away, which is amazing. But we have music therapy, from rock to recovery, art therapy, equine therapy, amazing, like DBT and just different groups. We just want everyone to try on everything and
So
see how it fits.
to me, it feels
Yeah.
like what you're doing is a wraparound treatment plan.
Yeah.
Wraparound means, man, you're going to attack them from the left, from the right, from the back, from the top, bottom, front, versus
Yeah.
the linear way, which is just getting sober, maybe cleaning up your thoughts a little bit, but not really to the level in which you're talking about. You're using
Yeah.
a lot of different modalities
Yeah.
at the same time. And I love the way you're kind of like going to present it in this package and see who resonates with what. I always had issues in college. I know we both are UCLA alumni.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
they would say, well, this here in this residency, they use this modality. Now, to clarify what modality means, it's basically kind of like a way to help people.
Right.
Cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectal. There's different kinds of therapies, and each like Department of Mental Health and Dedee Hirsch, all of them use like different modalities, different
Right.
ways to heal people. What I always said, I raised my hand, I was that girl in college, but what about if that doesn't resonate with all of
Right.
your clients? And they're like, well, that's
Exactly.
what that clinic uses, get over it, learn it. And I thought, well, I don't like that answer. So
Right.
one of the things I did when years later I found my own ass in rehab,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wait a minute. That Kathleen Murphy at the rehab that I went to, Breathe Life Healing Center, also she did the best that she could in a very small area, trying to use as many modalities and philosophies and what have you as well.
Yeah.
And to me, that was great because I picked and choose what worked for me.
Exactly. Yes.
And because, right, like the word God for me created a negative connotation just because I had some history with it, right? So
Right.
she was like, take that word out of the book, because they use the big book,
Yeah.
and put in what's bigger than you, D? I said, well, Mother Earth is one badass
Yeah.
bitch. And then
That's
is
great.
she bigger than you? Is she more powerful than you? I said, oh yeah, she brings me to my knees. So I went in and scratched out God and put Mother Earth. To this
I
day,
love it.
Mother Earth is
Yeah.
my
I love it.
she's
Mhm.
my everything, which is why
Love that.
now my recovery went into environmentalist and trying to my whole carbon footprint. So sobriety can bleed into these amazing what I call rebirths. But
Yeah.
let's go back to what you're doing. You and Shon, who introduced me to you, we're gonna get him on the show as well. Is
Yeah.
that you also you have a book called Rewired, not
Yeah.
to be mistaken with Dr. Joe Dispenza, who I talk about a lot. But
Mhm.
basically, it's very similar, rewiring the way we think
Yeah.
through
Well,
your
yes,
book,
yes.
right?
It is. I wrote the book in 2015, so a while ago. Because I got sober myself 16 years ago.
Oh,
And
congratulations. I didn't know you were one of us, girl. I knew I
yes,
liked you.
yes, yes, yes. Well, I mean, most of us that get into this field usually have an experience. I feel like, my experience with addiction, dependency, the darkness around that, the hopelessness that I experienced, the depths of that experience really was so meant to be for me because it helped shape my future, my destiny, what I was meant to do, right? And I was a writer before, always, when I was even like a little girl. I was a literature major. I got my bachelor's in literature before I went to UCLA, back to school. So it was interesting how the writing and then my own experience with sobriety and then doing it professionally all came together, which is what I always tell people is like, but just trust in life. Like everything comes full circle eventually. We don't know how necessarily, but it's a beautiful thing when it does. But
Yeah.
yeah, when I went back to school to UCLA to professionally get my license as a counselor, I realized when I was working at different treatment centers, there wasn't a lot of literature about, not as a neuroscientist how to rewire, but how to rewire with self-love and healthy routines. And like I said, changing the narratives and becoming authentic and learning how to healthy solitude and honesty in your life. And those are like all the chapters in my book. And people, it caught on. And, I mean, now all these years later, there's rewired meetings online. People have started. My online rewired program is in 305 jails and prisons and juvenile detention centers on
Oh, I
a
love that.
tablet by Dovo. Yeah, Dovo has tablets in jails. And so it's been, people, just 20,000 incarcerated learners have used it. And it's just amazing how it's just grown in different ways. Because I think in terms of substance abuse recovery or substance use disorder recovery, there's not a lot out there that like really, I don't think teaches like the foundation of this has to be self-love. Like it has to go back to like self-compassion, getting to know yourself, being kind to yourself, changing what's up here.
Right.
Everything right? Everything in our life really depends on the quality of our thoughts, our actions, our mood, our confidence,
Everything
everything.
starts with the way we think, whether we're conscious
Yeah.
of our thoughts or not. It starts up on top, right?
Right. Right.
And
So
people
why
kind
don't
of,
we start there? Why don't we start
yeah,
there? That's why I wrote the book, because I was like, I wasn't seeing a lot of, I mean, Buddhist literature was major for me in my recovery. I
yeah,
love that
me too.
self-compassion piece, Thich Nhat Hanh. I read Gary Zukav's, Seed of the Soul, all these, just trying, I was, but there wasn't a lot, I think, like, around the rewiring in the different way. So that's where that came from.
I love that because I often, my random thoughts, I talk about guys, gals, they, everybody out there who identifies as whatever. Here's the story, Glory. Starts with the way you think.
Yeah.
Now that's it sounds like such a big thing. We've gotten so far away from it. It's actually difficult in the beginning because we're not used to it. It's certainly nothing we're taught in school or at
No.
home, or you know what I mean, or in most religions, except like you said, there's the more spiritual ones,
Yeah.
that do go to, which is why I resonated towards Buddhism, Hinduism, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That went back to, and something that's interesting, I said this, and again, I apologize, I don't think I've only said this once. In rehab, they kept saying, you gotta love you gotta love each other, you gotta love yourself, you gotta love yourself, you gotta love yourself. And I finally went, hold on.
Yeah.
We're all in here as addicts, okay? And
Yeah.
we hate each other. Hate ourselves.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean? Generally speaking, until you
Right.
go deep into recovery, there's a lot of self-loathing going on. And society's not helping that with the whole stigmatization and all that,
Yeah.
and the shame. So I said, you're asking me, for instance, I'll speak for myself, to go from self-loathing to love. How about, can we take baby steps to get there?
Yeah.
How about learning how to slowly like myself,
Right.
leading to self-love?
Right.
Because otherwise I'm going to set myself up to fail, because
Right.
that's a huge leap. It's also all or nothing thinking. It's black and white thinking. And we know none of that's very healthy. So I said, can I start on one time a day being mindful of something I said or did that I liked about myself?
That's
right?
that's a great way.
Because I opened the door for somebody who was on crutches. I like that. I did that. I stopped on my busy day, and that could be it. And then all of a sudden you start to go, wait a minute, did I find a baby like today? Well, then you still have time. Go shoot somebody an emoji, a poop emoji with, I send them a poop emoji to make them smile. There you go. Random acts of kindness in my
yes. But then you have to say to yourself, when your head hits the pillow, hey, Dedee, like, you're such a sweet, kind person. You did such a nice job of this today. Like, there has to be some awareness on that. We really do have to talk to ourselves. Like, it sounds silly, but like, this is how I started my journey from self-loathing to self-love, was like, I started like walking every day, and then I started running a block, and I would be like, you got this, babe. You're strong. I know it sounds silly, but you have to talk to yourself in kind language. The language is important. Even if you think that doesn't resonate, like, I mean, I think to some extent, if, like you said, if you're doing esteemable things that you feel proud of, even if it's opening a door, give yourself that pat, like, give yourself.
I think it's stopping and, like you said, saying, hey, that was a good thing you did today, Dee, or
the awareness, the mindfulness around there.
And how about this? At the end of the day, is taking that moment to say, you showed up. My friend said that to me early on in recovery. I said, oh, I didn't, because my rehab used the 12 steps, and they called me, I was being accused of running my own program, because I was like, what you have in your book and in this recovery rehab is an opportunity to find different ways to create your own treatment plan. I was accused of doing that, and that was not a good thing. But I kept saying, but I'm drawing away from this kind of linear way you're trying to make me think and feel, versus other things that also really heal me, like Mother Earth and animals heal me. Did I go do something else today within this 12 steps? Maybe not, but man, I sat there and I looked at the squirrel or that bird, and I just said, I love you. I appreciate you. You're phenomenal to me. Why do I feel like you're giving me love and you're not even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm having this kind of experience by myself. And I said, maybe I'm running my own program, but it's working. So why are we judging that? Right? God, if you got a client sitting in the back talking to a bird and that heals them, why are you judging them? They don't have their face in a 12-step program, but they're talking to a bird, and they're getting high legally. keeping the sober chip.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, no, I mean, this is why, yes, I agree with you completely. Like so many people, I've created my own program for my sobriety, and it's worked for 16 years. And a lot of people, and I've heard people through, not people I know anymore, it's a surrounding in my life, but like I comments here and there, oh, you don't do it this way, you don't do it that way. And I already knew in my heart intuitively that the way I was doing it was right for me. And isn't that the real case? Like, the biggest betrayal is lying to ourselves, right? And so if I truly knew in my heart there was zero of that, this was all truth, authenticity, it really felt like I was honoring myself, I was taking care of myself, I was on such a good routine, then leave me alone. Like let me, you know what I mean?
You know what I say? Jump back in your own lane, honey.
Yeah. Yes,
What do you do on the freeway when someone's eking in on your lane? Toot toot.
It's true, but this happens with all walks of life, right? It's not just,
Yes.
I guess, about sobriety. People always try and, give you the 2 cents on marriage, on this, on that, and really motherhood, whatever it is that you're going through.
Yeah.
And you just have to kind of, again, I think if you're in a healthy place in your life, then listening to your intuition and really trusting what's best for you, because we all are just, we're different. We all need different things.
And I say the same thing when people have a sponsor and it's not working, they blame their sponsor or the rehab or whatever. I always say, listen, I don't care how the fuck you get sober or stop using your DOC, your drug of choice, whatever. And that could be gambling, anything, right? I don't care how you get there, as long as you get there and that resonates with you. And then the other work is finding others that are similar, not exactly like, but are of the same thinking. Like you and I, had we known each other back when I was trudging around, we would have been like that. I would have been like, girl, you do you. And you would have been like, girl, you do you. And you reading these amazing novels and me talking to a bird, it's like, but we're maybe not at a meeting that day. And remind you, this is a woman. Now listen, I'm speaking for someone who did a meeting every day for a year straight. That was how I was so dedicated to my sobriety and the way I was taught how to get to where I'm at today. I didn't abandon any of that. I just opened up my universe to other things and ways that get me, I call high, that have nothing to do with anything other than life, right? And I think it's so important. This is why, like my podcast, I have other people on who got sober from DJ, what is it? My agent got sober with a laser, it was a laser acupuncture machine.
Cool. That's amazing. Yeah.
Right? I always get it wrong. But people find
Jesus, people find, become monks. People do what, whatever you want, whatever works, but I think it's just so funny because, nowadays there's just, I think a lot more, this is a whole nother subject I don't want to even dive into, but there's a lot more alternatives to healing these days,
Yes, we're
even using other drugs, even using, so yeah, the landscape has changed since 15 years ago that I got sober, and when you did too, right? So
it's an exciting time, like 4 years sober, almost 5. But it's an exciting time. Oh, I'm kind of a newbie, but it's an exciting time right now because we're so open-minded. And this is why I love people like you and Shon and the girls who are in your podcast, who I'm also going to have on here, because everyone's kind of showing other people there's lots of ways to do this. There's not just one way, and that's okay. And if people are a little judgy, that's okay. They're probably judging the way you wipe your ass as well. I don't know. Tell them to just love you, Nina. Thank you. I'll listen. You know what I mean? DJ, I'm cutting in on our podcast to talk about New Spirit Recovery Clinic. Let's talk about Shon's new clinic, shall we?
Oh, yeah. I've heard really great things about it.
Yeah, what I love is that, we did a whole week on the Hazelden Betty Ford, the grandmamas of rehabs. And now we're back to back doing this brand new rehab that has this multiple modalities and also a very strong part of the treatment plan is the when they leave the rehab, which is fundamentally so important to recovery, because I talk to you about it a lot of times about when you get out of rehab, not using your DOC and realizing you have trauma and peeling that nasty onion is one thing, but then when you get out, it's a whole nother level of healing and learning all over again. Shon and Erica and with the help of the girls, at New Spirit Rehab, they have designed special like treatment plans that are coined to each client because no two people are alike, right?
Mhm. Well,
Um,
I know that you've talked about it before. There's a business in relapse, and I know that that's part of what New Spirit Recovery is trying to prevent.
yeah, I know. I hate saying that because it's certainly the negative part of recovery, but there is a business in relapse. And I love about Sean and Eric and the girls, they get that, they know that. And so they're by design, their rehab is like, oh, no, we're going to try to get in there if we can and prevent that because, it's not that relapse is, there's no shame in it, but it does put you back into the loop. And there there is in itself shame because we don't view somebody who relapses as a fighter in the ring who got back up, especially when they go back for help. We view them as something not like that, and that's sad. And I love Sean's New Spirit Rehab and Erica's book Rewired that says, "Oh no, 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 we know exactly what that is, and we're gonna lean into that and give people the fighting chance to really make recovery be successful for them."
That's
Go
a
New
great
Spirit, go, go, go! And while you're at it, take this spirit with you. Go, go, go! Right there.
idea. And you can find out more about New Spirit Recovery by going to newspiritrecovery.com.
Because it's the holiday season and we need extra help, I think, during these holidays are tough. I know. I know.
Oh, the toughest.
DJ, love you, sweetie. Go have a beautiful day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Can I
Yeah,
ask you? Can I ask you a personal question?
please.
Do you believe in the supernatural or paranormal? Yes or no, or why, Erica?
Yes, I do. I do. I've been, well, I've myself ventured and seen a lot of sensitive people, clairvoyant,
Mm-hmm.
mediums, call them psychics, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I 100% believe it's true. I mean, I have my grandfather died, I'll say, I don't know, maybe like 6 years ago, and maybe 7 years ago. And when he did die, so when I was a little girl, he used to have mothballs like in his closet and
Oh,
his sweaters. And I, as a little girl, would go in and be like, even then, I liked the really strong, addictive
smells
smell,
like
right?
Grandpa.
No, I loved it. And he would always joke with my grandmother and be like, she's so funny. She loves mothballs. She comes over and goes straight to the closet because I'd be like, I love this smell. And so when he died, we were very close. I literally was with him every weekend and my whole life. I had decades with him. So we were very close. He was a young grandfather. So, and when he died, and I named my son his name, his middle name. And I talked to one of the ladies that I know is helps with my guiding, and I like to check in with her. I have a couple people, and she said to me, someone's coming through, like a grandfather, and she said, he wants me to tell you mothballs.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! I just got chills.
I know, chills. And I was like, no way, like, yeah,
Girl, I got chicken skin. For
I
those
know,
who are listening and who can't see my arm,
I
every hair
know.
is standing up on my
But
body.
it's true. But it's true. I mean, so he was around. He is around. I mean, you don't know if he's, gone on, but I know that he was here. I know he's still here. I'll think of him. I'll smell things. Also, other people that have passed. So anyway, yes, I do. I believe in all of it. I believe that there's so much that we do not know, we cannot visually see that,
Yeah,
and I like know it in my bones too. It's like, I think
yeah.
maybe that's why I've always gone to people to verify it in some way, but yeah.
Yeah, me
And
too. I
you?
have my best friend came right through on right in the middle of one of my podcasts with Meredith Kimberly came right through, and it's interesting because he told her to tell me about my right hip,
Really?
which I have been having major problems with.
Wow.
I've been
Wow. Wait, so
ignoring.
she came through when you had a guest on that was
Yeah, I was
clairvoyant or
I was interviewing her on Down with Dedee, and she's a medical intuitive. She's had
oh, okay.
three life
Is it Katie
near life.
Beecher?
Uh, Meredith Kimberly, you know
Oh,
her.
sorry. I thought you said
She's
Katie.
got a
Sorry.
book called
Okay.
oh gosh, one of my friends. It's Living in the Fifth Dimension,
Oh, cool.
bestseller. Yeah, no, she's way up there. She's on Gaia. She tours. She's an
Wow.
amazing
Amazing.
three near life death experiences. So they just channel through her like no one's business. And
Wow.
my frisky best friend Kenny, who passed away in the '90s of AIDS, who I just know is still around me because I could feel it. And before he left, I told him, dude, make sure you let me know that you're okay when you get to the other side, whatever that might look like. And he came flying through her. Right.
Wow.
You've watched the episode. It's quite amazing. You should see
Wow,
my face.
I love
My
it.
face, I went, and I keep ignoring this right hip. And he always took care of me when he was in the physical form.
Oh,
So he's
yeah.
still taking care of me, like, listen here,
Yeah.
bitch, go get the right hip. Because if I go down the stairs with the cat, dogs, and all the animals running past me, which they always do, my hands
Yeah.
are full, I'm going to go down. My boys are going to find me at the bottom 3 days later when they haven't been fed,
No,
wondering
that's
what
no good.
smells. It's your mother at the bottom of the stairs.
Oh,
Can you
God
please get away
forbid.
can you get away from the computer? They always joke that it would take them days.
Yeah.
What's that smell? It's your mother at the bottom of the stairs. Get your face away from the computers. Single
Oh,
mom,
God,
2
never.
teenage boys. This is the
Yeah.
life, right? Animals underneath my feet, dog. Can you go clean the litter box? Yeah, I'm in after this game, mom.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think one thing I just noticed, and I think I'm on my over 30th episode right now, or 20, something like that. I noticed when you were talking about it that all my guests, when they talk about this, everybody gets the same look on their face,
Yeah.
and it's this smile and this harmony with the idea and thought of
Mhm.
not only their own experience, or those who didn't have an experience say they're open to it. Like I've
Mhm.
had friends or guests come on and say, well, I'm open to it. It never happened to me, but I'm
Right.
open to it.
Yeah.
And they still have that same look, which I love to hear that we're starting to get away from the fear card, because when it comes to things that we don't understand, we can't fit them into our schemas.
Yeah.
Schemas are like these little categories that make sense. And if you can't find one to fit it in,
Right.
we usually push it away as
No, I
a
don't like that.
miracle, or oh, well, I'm sure some scientists could figure that out, but that's
Yeah.
not what I saw. How about
Yeah.
this? What you saw is what you saw, and that's okay. And that's exciting.
Yeah.
And for me, recovery's gotten me so excited about all that.
Yeah. But you know what? It's so funny, Dedee. When I was a little girl, I already knew. I feel like I had like kind of angels, or I saw this one lady when I was like maybe 6 or 7, and I'd see her random places. She had like long white hair, and I'd see her, and I knew she was like an angel at 6 years old. It was like the weirdest thing. She was like following me, and I'd see her, and I remember always thinking like, there's this lady again, and it was in all these different places. I was like not in the same cities, and I'd see her. It was bizarre. I already knew it before I had language to actually describe it. I already knew it. So like I could just I don't even know how to really tell you that, and like as a child, but so like for me, I think it's always been there.
Well, it's funny too. It's like we are now I believe, the mind space in the majority of the world. I don't know if you know, they did a study. The majority of the people in the world, the masses, do believe in some other life form.
Mm-hmm.
What we have following us along is the old social stigma. Here we go again, which is another reason why I wanted to bring this up on my show. Social stigma surrounds addiction and the paranormal and supernatural. Anything that we don't understand, we have a tendency to stigmatize. And then there's shame. There's people coming out now in droves with stories that before didn't dare because they would have been shunned in their families, their friends, their societies, their especially the smaller towns. They're like, I ain't gonna fucking, I'm not gonna say what I saw last night. But now we have video of it where people go, oh well, that was doctored up. I'm like, this is Joe out in the middle of a farm in Ohio. He's 105.
Oh yeah, so you mean
I
that
don't
with
think
the
Joe knows
alien?
how to doctor his. He was likely to turn the damn phone on. I don't think Joe doctored his damn video. So stop it.
Yeah. No. You mean even that, like from other places, yes, too.
Just the whole thing, it kind of all goes together.
It does all go together. It does all go together. It really does. It's of this. I don't know if it's of the same plane, but it's of another plane. So it's like right. And so
we're not afraid. First of all, it's very arrogant, I think, to think that we're it. Have you looked in the universe? We are it. Well, NASA already established that we already have Earth-like planets within our Milky Way.
Yeah.
But like literally that. Why are we out there looking for life forms if we don't believe in it?
Right.
Why do?
Well, but look how incredible we are as a species. Like, look how we even become what we become. It's such a miracle. Like, if that miracle could happen, other miracles can. Right?
And I think that's what's so interesting, is that we are so still far removed from what the ancient thousands and thousands of years ago, the cultures, and they knew, is that together we are quite powerful. And I'm not
Mhm.
talking about war. It's the
Yeah.
opposite of that.
Yeah.
When we can literally, like you say, let's loop it back. The way you think is the way you feel, it's the way you behave. Right. And if you got good thoughts up here, that drops into the heart,
Yeah.
fill that heart with love.
Yeah.
People who have good thoughts and love in their heart don't go out and they'll kick a puppy. That's not what happens.
Yeah.
That's not
No,
the way it
all,
works.
you know, even online and all these people that like, you know, with the social media and all the good, the bad, the ugly that goes with that. I mean, the people that are really hateful online and all these things, like, do you think they have great self-care practice? I mean, do you think they really are in a good place in their lives? No, I mean, it's a reflection of people suffering and people
Yeah.
that are hateful. And so how do we help those people, you know, in
Yeah.
terms of their suffering? And it's just endless, isn't it? Like it's
It
just,
is. And it's
yeah,
so interesting you said that, because as a clinician, as somebody who's got a bachelor's of psych and a master's of social work and blah, 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 all that kind of good stuff, but also
yeah,
my own learned experience. And as a celebrity, I see a lot of celebrities like, I have these people follow me and they say this and that and this and that and this and that. And I go, wow,
yeah,
there's some real anger out there. And if you think about it,
yeah,
not always, but anger usually covers pain,
yeah,
and sometimes they want to feel relevant or heard.
yeah,
And I have a friend, and she gets a lot of hate because she's a trans, lot of hate. And I
yeah,
said, and God, she puts up with a lot of shit. And one time she responded to the hate, not with hate, but with love.
yeah, yeah,
She said, I'm sorry you feel that way about me.
yeah. No, that's so nice.
That follower, I think, probably pissed on themselves, because what happened was
Yeah,
that person responded immediately going, oh, you
yeah,
just responded to me?
yeah,
And she said, yeah, I heard you, and I'm really sorry you feel that way about me and my community, the
yeah,
LGBTQ community, that
yeah,
you want me dead. That makes me sad. Something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
That person about faced and all
yeah,
of a sudden started saying nice things. But before that, that person because they thought that they were out there just spewing this and no one was listening. But let
right.
me tell you, oh,
Yeah,
not all of us, but a lot of us are listening. We're just not responding because
yeah,
we're not sure how to,
right,
right?
right, right.
Um,
Yeah,
I get that. I get some snarky followers.
yeah,
I'm like, what was that for? That was really mean. It hurt my feelings. But I'll do a shout out saying, FYI, just because I'm a celebrity does not mean that I don't have feelings.
of course, of
Contrary.
course. It's, I know people just are
Yeah.
not as mindful, you know,
And
and
I hear you. I say, oh, I hear you. I
yeah,
might like what you said. Just because I push the heart doesn't mean I like what you said. It means I heard what you said. And I have
nice.
people say, is this really you, Dedee? I'm like, yeah, it's me. And they're like, ah.
I know, I know. And then they're like, I love you. I'm so sorry, you
They're
know?
like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm like, no, it's cool. So I am one of those celebrities who will respond,
Yeah,
and I love
yeah,
having these exchanges. Like after this, I have these handful of amazing followers who listen to every single Down with Dedee. Not to say they're
yeah.
my favorites, but okay, they're my favorites.
That's
No,
awesome.
but then they'll respond. Oh, your
Yeah,
guest was so this, and now I
yeah.
have one of my followers helping one of my guests with
That's
her
so great.
nonprofit organization helping women and animals
That's
from like
amazing.
Scotland or somewhere. I can't remember where, but they're
I
gonna
love it.
connect and help each other.
It
I was like,
is.
damn, that's what this is about, right?
It is. And that's why I always say the good, the bad, the ugly, because there's so much good that comes out of technology and like I mean, you know, I could go on with technology addiction, technology, you know, how it's really, you know, molded our lives in different ways. But there's the positives, there's the negatives, there's you know, I think just it's so funny. I grew up in the Bay Area, near the Palo Alto Menlo Park area. So like at the tech, where all the tech Facebook and this is where, so it's San Francisco. I was born in the city. It's changed so much. And so
Yeah.
where I grew up in terms of like now the tech world there and just seeing, I don't know, I feel like personally, I've really seen firsthand the way it's actually shaped like my city where I grew, like I'm a fourth generation growing up there. And it's like
Yeah.
a totally different world. And, you know, I just feel like it changes on so many levels. Our cultures change our culture, it changes our cities, it changes people's lives, it changes our relationships. Like you're saying, you're meeting people. Just tech in general has shook our world in so many different levels. It's
Yeah.
been crazy to watch.
Just by podcast, I'm meeting men who are saving orcas,
Yeah,
women who are saving animals in third world countries during and after a war has happened, when the people are being rescued, but the animals are left behind, and these people are flying in.
amazing. No,
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah,
yeah, the veterinarians that are left, there's, or I have this, the ARN, Animal Refuge Network. They're doing something on a large scale when it comes to educating people and saving animals and animal sanctuaries.
Yeah.
And then there's, of course, those of us who are in sobriety, and
Yeah.
everyone I know in sobriety is doing something similar or different with their sobriety. And that is so amazing. One of my friends who used to be my favorite bartender, she's now a sober bartender.
Oh,
You
cool.
want her as your bartender, which
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I couldn't do that. I'm like, you are a big woman. And she's like, girl, she's a comedian as well. She's like, girl, don't get me started. You want me as your bartender, Julie. And you do want her as your bartender because she's going to take really good care of you, and not in the way that she's
Yeah.
taking care of me, which
Right.
is you want another one for free.
Right.
Sadly, that's not taking care of somebody, especially if they're sitting there nursing a disease, which
Yeah.
well, I had a bartender who had a disease. I had a disease, and we didn't even know we had a disease.
Yeah.
Years later, we met again, and all of a
Wow.
sudden we were sober and went, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
rediscovered each other on a different level. But I just love what we're doing. I adore you. I adore what you guys are doing with
Thank you.
your books, the rehab, the girls, which I'm going to have on.
Yeah.
And one more question, I'm going to let you go. Have
Yes.
your
Take
beautiful life.
anything. No, I really appreciate it all. I
One more
love
we're
these
done, girl.
questions.
You ready? Here we go.
I love your questions, Dedee. You could ask me all day long. Yes.
Oh, you're going to love this one. What animal would you be reincarnated as, and why?
As I'm looking at the lion behind you. I would have to say like a hawk, or like an eagle. Like, I think a hawk, actually. A hawk seems to follow me around quite a lot. And I have dreams that I could fly sometimes, like as a human. I feel like I'm lifting my hands in my dreams. So maybe there's something to do with that.
Are you
And
sure it's
you?
not 'cause you can poop on people?
Yeah, exactly. No. I think it's just soar above and just,
I have a few guys I dated, I wouldn't mind pooping.
whoever you want me to when I become the hawk, just
Well,
let me know.
I have been pooped on by a bird flying by, and there was no other bird in the sky, and just me walking, and I
No
got
way.
nailed, and I
Well,
went, they say this is good luck.
they say it's
And
good luck.
as I'm
They
sitting
do.
there with shit on my shoulder, let me tell you, it's really hard to turn that around as I'm going to class, I might add, with shit on your shoulder going, oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky. I'm just so special. No, I got shat on. I will process this later. I'm going to wait for this class. The professor's going to give me a party, and I have shit on my shoulder.
Dedee, do you answer your own? Do you answer these questions? Do you have an animal you feel like that you answer the same question every time, or do you feel like you've changed your answer?
I ask all my guests the same question because I find it fascinating. And some people make up animals. I mean, they can't make a decision, so they make up a hybrid.
Yeah.
And even my sister surprised me. I had no idea. I was like, really? I've known her for how many years? And I had no idea. And some of my older friends have been on the podcast, and I was like, I would never have thought that about you. So
That's so funny.
this guy behind me is my spirit animal.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I'm a Capricorn, so
Okay.
it should be a goat, but that's a whole different thing. This guy has come to me for many years when I closed my eyes when I was trying to meditate in rehab.
Really?
It was
Wow.
monkey mind. I kept saying, I can't stop the monkey mind. And the rehab did the best that they could when it comes to meditation. I had to go to Colombia for 7 days. Dr. Joe Dispenza taught me how to really meditate. My friend Monita, who I believe might be working with your Janine De La Torre. Oh, I'm sorry. What's her married name? Janine. Anyways, point zero. She also can teach you how to go to a completely different frequency when you meditate.
Oh, you were telling me about this. Yes.
Yes, it's because it's not just checking out, it's actually changing your whole brain chemistry so you can do exactly what you in your book and your rehab are saying, which is rewiring your thoughts.
Yeah.
Part of that is being able to modify and change the frequency in your body, and that can be through some meditations, but this kind of deeper way to do it is quite life-changing. And so when I was in rehab trying to be still, me,
Yeah. It's hard.
I was stuck to the ceiling. And this male lion would come rushing into my mind
Wow.
and just
that's
stop right
amazing.
before, like, he hit my face, say, for instance. And I would
Crazy.
gasp.
Yeah.
And I would look and go, where'd you come from? What's that about?
Yeah.
And I'd open my eyes, and everyone else is like, I'm meditating. And I was like, what the hell? And I closed my eyes again, going, God, okay, calm down, Dedee, calm down, breathe. And he'd come flying in again.
Wow.
And so not every time, but enough times where I said to someone else, I keep getting this male lion that rushes me, and I he calms me in a weird way.
Yeah.
And then I focus on him and I go, oh, you're just so beautiful. Wow, what are you in my head? What? And this one guy or gal or they, I went to a very colorful rehab, and someone said, oh, that's your spirit animal, bitch. That's your spirit animal. Don't be ignoring him. And I went,
Yeah.
oh,
That's very
okay.
cool.
So the next time he came, I went, well, hello.
We got to go to Africa. You got to go on a safari and you really see some
I want you so badly to go
beautiful.
to, it's one of my dreams. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
bucket list because I don't believe in death.
Yeah.
While my soul is in this body in this lifetime, I'd love to go to Africa
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I put him behind me as my to remind me during this podcast why I'm doing what I'm doing. That
I
help
love
can
that.
come in many ways. Be open to it.
Yeah. I love that. No, I love
Erica,
that.
I want to
Love that
thank you
idea.
for coming on Down with Dedee.
Thank you, Dedee, so much. It was such a pleasure and really
Oh,
fun
pleasure.
conversation. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Lots of love. Yeah.
Have a beautiful day, sweetie.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
For more information on today's guest, check out the show notes below or visit our website at www.downwithdedee.com.
This week on Down with Dedee, we are sponsored by New Spirit Recovery. You can find out more at www.newspiritrecovery.com.